What's up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are going to be talking about things they do not tell you for beginner crocheters. Things I wish I knew and you should probably know too if you are just starting crocheting. Now before we get too far into this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more crocheting content. So I watch tons of videos on how to crochet, make certain stitches, do certain patterns. I watch tons of videos. And I'm noticing that a lot of crocheting videos are kind of forgetting about our beginners. And not all of them. There are some tutorials that are pretty good that show you how to do beginning stitches and beginning patterns and things like that. But I have a whole list of things that I think you guys should know, and I think everyone who is just learning to crochet should know as well. My number one would be, don't be too hard on yourself as far as when you first make a project, whether it's a shirt or it's a plushie or whatever it is, a wash rag, it is not going to be perfect. It is not by any means going to be perfect. And if you can get it to look like the picture or the pattern that you're following, high five, like that is awesome. But majority of us, like, it's not gonna be perfect. And I look back at myself when I first started crocheting and I was like, this isn't even good. It's not good. And you know, and that's okay. That is okay. We just need to accept that. Two, I cannot stress this enough, but I feel like no one says this. If you're just beginning crocheting, do not start with thick yarn. And I'm going to show you guys an example. Okay, we have this yarn, which is acrylic yarn, and this is Bernat blanket yarn. So you can see the difference in the thickness, and here's what I'm going to say about it. Thick yarn, if you are just learning, is a lot harder to see your stitches. Now, yes, and you might think it looks better. And in certain things, honestly, I agree. I think it does look better, but you know, if you're just beginning, you really want to be able to see your stitches to make sure you're not dropping stitches, adding stitches. You need to be able to see them. And I feel like with thick yarn, it is definitely not as easy. So if you want a challenge, go for the thick yarn. It will be a challenge. But I recommend that all beginners start on something simple. Acrylic yarn, cotton yarn, polyester yarn, something that is also thinner, isn't like such a thick size of yarn, is better. Now that being said, don't get yarn that's too thin. You don't want yarn that is smaller, I would say, than a size 4. And it usually says that on the back of the package, but when your yarn gets too thin, it also like loses shape if you hold it too loose, and if you hold it too tight, you're just gonna run into problems. So I would say start at like a size 4 to like a size 5 yarn. That will be your best bet. All right, number 3, finding a pattern that you understand. Lots of you will probably run into this. Patterns are not always written well, and just because one person understands it doesn't mean everyone's gonna understand it. So if you find a pattern that you like but you don't understand what it's saying, don't use that pattern. Like I still run into that all the time, and I've been crocheting since I was like 8 years old, but there's still like patterns where I'm like, that just doesn't make sense how to do that. Always make sure you can understand what the person's saying. There's so many patterns out there. You will eventually find one that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, you know, patterns are tricky. And if you do feel like you're struggling with patterns, I would definitely recommend watch YouTube videos. YouTube videos are so much better than reading a pattern, especially if you're not as familiar with patterns, or you're learning a new pattern. YouTube videos are just going to be so much clearer watching someone like physically do it versus reading it. And my last main tip that I can tell you guys is don't give up. I feel like a lot of crocheters make it look so easy to do what we do. It's not an easy, just overnight process. You know, it takes time to learn stitches, to learn patterns, just all of it. It takes time, and it takes, you know, you being comfortable and familiar enough with it in order for you to be successful with it. So I guess all I can say is just don't give up. Just keep pushing yourself through it, because yeah, it's going to take time, and yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but the more and more you do it, the easier it's going to get and the better it's going to look. So if you guys want any more tips, please feel free to let me know in the comments. If you guys want to see stitches or patterns or anything like that, please let me know. That is all I have for this video. If you like this video, make sure to check out my beginning stitches and all of my other videos, and I will see you guys next time.